Good morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully my voice will hold out. I've been trying not to talk. I've had the flu. And Glenn has benefited greatly by that. As anyone who knows me knows, I love to talk. With Vermont becoming the first state to legalize same-sex marriage through the legislature process rather than the courts, then being followed up by Maine and New Hampshire, social conservative groups have a potential problem on their hands. Though it might take a while before states outside of New England follow their lead, their legislators almost certainly won't be the last to take this kind of action. And it will be very hard to apply the activist judges argument to the legislature. So, it's time for a new tactic. On the Wednesday, the day after the vote in Vermont, the National Organization for Marriage, a group opposed to same-sex marriage, launched a new ad campaign that could be a preview to the strategy to come. In its announcement, the organization says that the campaign is designed to raise awareness of the religious liberty implications of same-sex marriage legislation and discusses what it claims are some of those implications. Already, Boston Catholic Charities have been denied its adoption agency license because of their religious beliefs concerning marriage and the welfare of a child. Experts in religious liberty have said that these sorts of conflicts just scratch the surface of what we're likely to see if same-sex marriage becomes widespread. The group's ad dubbed Gathering Storm is similarly alarmist. It features actors portraying people who say they have been personally harmed by the approval of same-sex marriage, and begins with them saying, "There is a storm gathering. The clouds are dark, and the winds are strong, and I am afraid." Some who advocate for same-sex marriage have taken the issue far beyond the same-sex couples. They want to bring the issue into my life. My freedom will be taken away. The discussion and debates around gay marriage have become very familiar to most Americans. It has been looked at from a constitutional perspective of equal protection under the law, from a family dynamic and sociological debate around procreation, and that marriage's primary role was to create the most secure family structure to raise children. People have looked at the history of marriage and how it has been a relatively new phenomenon that people married freely and for love. Today, I want you to leave that part of the debate to the side and look at the possible moral and religious justifications for same-sex marriage. While it is true some of this support can be found in other world religions such as Buddhism and Hinduism, I will be looking at it from the faiths that descend from the lineage of Abraham, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The vast majority of the organized opposition to same-sex marriage has come from the more traditional religious organizations in the United States, such as the Roman Catholic, the Mormon, the Southern Baptist, and the Evangelical Christian movement, with support from Orthodox Judaism and the Islamic communities. There has been support from several religious communities for same-sex marriage, the two largest being the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ. At the 1996 Unitarian Universalist General Assembly, delegates voted overwhelmingly that they would perform same-sex marriage ceremonies. The United Church of Christ 2005 General Synod passed a resolution affirming equal marriage rights for all people regardless of gender. Some Christians support religious and legal recognition of same-sex marriage based on a moral commitment to equality, or on the belief that human sexual orientation, whether heterosexual or homosexual, is a gift from God. Daniel Hamanick, in his book, What the Bible Really Says About Homosexuality, states, "The Bible may be interpreted literally or within historic cultural context. Under a literist reading, the Bible can be read as condemning homosexuality, and by that extension, gay marriage. Read in a cultural context, the Bible was not addressing our current questions, about sexual ethics and does not condemn gay sex or gay marriage, as we understand it today. Helminick argues that the Bible passages said to be against homosexuality and same-sex marriage do not actually say anything against gay and lesbian sexual relationships or identities. The sin of Sodom was inhospitality, not homosexuality. Jude condemned sex with angels, not sex between two men. Not a single Bible text indisputably refers to lesbian sex, and Jesus himself said nothing about homosexuality. Not being a theologian or a religious scholar, I have spent a lot of time reading many articles about this topic for my sermon today. One of the most unexpected was by Misty Irons, and it was titled, "A Conservative Christian Case for Same-Sex Civil Marriage." It's an interesting read, and she talks about how in a pluralistic society, which is becoming more pluralistic every day, the conservative Christian community could be shooting itself in the foot by not protecting the civil liberties of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and or transgender people because of who will protect theirs, as they are marginalized by an increasingly secular American society. She writes, the problem is that we don't feel the need to go to such lengths to safeguard our religious freedom because we smugly take it for granted that it will always be there. Such complacency has blinded us from seeing how we actually threaten religious freedom when we dismiss gay rights on the grounds that homosexuals choose their condition. Because if homosexuality is chosen, then what about the fact that many of us have chosen our religion?
Amen.
Those of us who are born-again Christian never tire of talking about the moment in our lives when we made a decision for Christ. Are we now saying that people who choose their religious condition don't deserve religious rights either? She goes on to state that if we're so concerned about the message we might be sending, why not look at sending a message that we approve of committed relationships and sexual responsibility? Aren't these the values that we've been trumpeting at our fellow Americans for years? Aren't we the ones who have always condemning the promiscuous lifestyle of gay men? Why not look at gay marriage as a step in a moral right direction?